Okay, so let's take a look at the overall situation. Here we are in turn 5, and in spite of my promises, we keep getting embroiled in turn-by-turn after-action reports, but it's just so fun. But no, seriously, let's take a look at what happened here, because there are some interesting developments. Now, you'll recall from the last video that the Marines held out right there, and you can see that the Air Cobras have returned, but interestingly, guess what else happened? The 1st American Air Unit managed to show up, and you can see an F-18 right there. Now, there are actually 4 American Air Units, and the F-14s are what I'm really afraid of, but still, that F-18 represents a potential problem. So, in addition to that, the Allied player decided that he was going to be cute and bring in some French Marines to really hold on to that real estate. And in fact, he did such a good job holding on to that real estate that you may notice that the Russians have decided that they're going to abandon trying to take this hex altogether. And they noticed that there was a weak spot in the Italian line, and that's right there. And so the Soviets basically just shifted their entire attack, came up through these woods right here, and they had just enough movement to get here, and they're going to attack that hex, try to blow a hole right there. And of course, you can see our intended use of chemical weapons. So yes, we're going to try to blow a hole right through that hex and open up an avenue, and we want to cut off this entire Italian contingent right there. In addition, we've got a Hungarian attack, the first Hungarian attack, which is going to occur right there at another weak spot. And we've even brought some Hungarian air units to facilitate the attack. I could bring in Soviet air units, but I didn't want to do that because that would impose a multinational penalty. So whenever you can have a nationality attack with its own air units and not involve another nationality, you avoid that penalty. So it's not a sizable air contingent here. We've got 1 fighter element and we've got 1 helicopter element. I think all the other Hungarian fighters have been shot down. But the Italians, they are down to 1 fighter. And you can see that he's going to be launched to try to defend Trieste, which is again being subjected to another Soviet bombardment. Remember, we want to hit Trieste because we want to get this 3 victory dice bonus. So that Italian air unit's probably going to get tied up. We've got some Russian air units hitting the American air base. There you can see munitions target R, and if we can hit that, we eliminate an American air unit. And now the Americans have gotten unlucky. Only 1 of their air units have come in, as I mentioned, and that was the F-18. The other 3 haven't shown up. Usually at least 3 or 4 of them show up by now, but we've only gotten 1. So, you know, but at the same time, the Marine units showed up early. They showed up on turn 2, and so the air units are showing up late. You know, the dice all work out in the end, don't they? And also, we've got some other attacks going on here. If we can hit that munitions site, X, sorry, it's so blurry, we'll focus here. There we go. That will eliminate an Italian air unit, which happens to be the last Italian air unit in the game. So this is putting some pressure on the Allied player because what is he going to defend? And I think the prudent thing to do is to do whatever I can to try to defend the munitions site Q, because I do not want the Soviets to get those 3 extra victory point dice. That could cost the Italians the game, actually. So, as far as the American air unit, he could go up there and fight, but he's going to be on his own. And do I really want to risk sending the F-18 up all by his lonesome? Well, I think desperate times call for desperate measures, and I think it's necessary. I'm not going to send the Americans to defend the Italian, and that's because there's a chemical shift bonus, and you can see the Soviets, they've got, 13 combat strength points. They got a 13-1 to 1 against this Italian engineer. all the air support in the world isn't going to change the odds there, especially if the Soviets are using chemical weapons. So there's no point flying there. I could go out there and shoot down the Hungarians, and that might be the best thing to do. However, I really don't want to lose one of my American air units. If I can hold on to all 4 of the American air units that I'm supposed to get during the game, I could turn the tide. So I'm going to have to let these ride, and what we're going to do is we're going to send the F-18 to defend the American Air Base, and how appropriate is that? So anyway, all right, well, I'll cut this video short. I will resolve what happens, and then we'll pick it up in the next video.